So Tyler, tell me, do you think the world's ready for yet another Die Hard movie?
You know,
I have mixed feelings about it too.
I don't know if I'm excited. I loved all the last movies, but I don't know. The last one was pretty epic. Had a lot of car crashes, and there was this ridiculous scene where like he had one car go off of another car, and then he like blocked himself by using the car. It was really weird.
I know, I saw that because it was in every trailer. But he was old in those, and there wasn't a lot of clever dialogue.
There's a lot of gender in this.
That's beside the point anyway, guys. That was not the question.
Spicy.
The question was, that was the world then. The world now. As the world is now, are we prepared for yet another Die Hard movie?
I'm sure it wouldn't be bad, but I would just be kind of annoyed. Just like there's like Chucky 16, and I just kind of feel like I've seen it before. Especially with Bruce Willis's face all over again. Some terrorist somewhere doing some shizna. Well, Bruce Willis will absentmindedly save the day, but he's never a part of how he's saving the day.
Right.
He just somehow stumbles, walks into a factory. Oh God, terrorist! Bruce Willis has to settle some shit. How does he keep stumbling into these messes?
It's the best timing ever.
There's another reason why it doesn't really make sense to make a sequel. I like how what's his face, Tom Cruise, he runs out of ideas or he has ideas, but he knows that they don't quite apply to Mission Impossible, so he just does other spy movies. Like he's coming out with some new one, and it's another spy movie, and it's like
poker one or whatever it was.
Yeah, and it's like
Reacher.
Isn't this just Mission Impossible, except they're just not calling it Mission Impossible, because then we'd ask what was going on in the story?
No, it's Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher is going to reach right up there and take his shit back.
Yeah, it's Tom Cruise is
Jack Reacher.
Yeah, which is Mission Impossible. No, and he's, writing, directing, or producing any one of the combination of the same. So it just ends up being him doing the same project, which just makes me think that he has a really big ego. Can you tell?
Right. He's also going to be in a movie called Oblivion. It's coming out soon, which I automatically have mixed feelings about because it's Tom Cruise.
Isn't it the one I'm thinking of?
If it has Morgan Freeman being the other side, yes. It's Tom Cruise, so I'm obliged to dislike it, but it's Morgan Freeman, so it's automatically going to be 10% better than any other movie. Just saying, makes some vastly complex feelings.
I had a really good episode of South Park the other day, when it was something, some terrorists or whatever, but then Morgan Freeman, there was always this part, and the kids would joke about how I loved when Morgan Freeman would just come in the middle of a TV show or movie or something and just start explaining things in his nice, soothing voice.
Nice.
And then there's like this whole terrorist thing that happens in like the city or something. And Morgan Freeman just like walks out on like the back of the shop or whatever, and he just starts explaining what's going on. And everyone's like, "Oh, thank you, Morgan Freeman. Thank you for explaining to this." And they're like, "Why do you explain things anyways, Morgan Freeman?" And he goes, "Because every time I explain something, I earn a freckle." And then they're like, at the end of the episode, he like goes, and they explained like 5 things all at once. And they all like found some way to circulate into each other, and so he just earned like 30.
What is it with black women freckles? You want to know the story? Okay, so one time, so one day I was walking through a high school hallway. I wasn't supposed to be in high school, and so they were trying to get me out, but I had my hood up, and so they couldn't see that I was there. Anyway, point is I was walking along, and there was Redhead, and he was walking right at me. I said, "Soulless!" But then I noticed that he was Negro Redhead. It's like a red-headed black kid with freckles, and I was like, "I'm not allowed to say anything to you because that would be racist and insensitive." And then I told someone else, and they said, "You're supposed to have pictures of this stuff, or else we won't believe you."
I was at the cave dwellings. The cave dwellings in
Mesa Verde, maybe?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
South of
Thanks. Mesa Verde, Durango.
Yeah, in Durango. Anyways, yeah. And we had an Asian student staying with us. I guess he was Chinese, Asian student.
That's
We
racist.
had a Chinese student staying with us, and actually he was like 40 for a cell phone company. He was just learning English or whatever, and from the ACC program.
Yes.
So he was staying with us. So we were taking him to go see stuff in Colorado, and we took him to go see the cave. And we took him there, and this Indian family was walking, but this one Indian guy had like totally like fake red hair going on, and you know they've all got brown hair, so it was very weird to see him with like this like goldish red brown hair, and then his face was literally all powdered white, like this ridiculous like cremo paste white.
He's a tranny.
No, he was with his family, and he was
Is his
like,
name Tran?
no,
He's Chinese, it could have been Tran.
No, he was Indian.
You said he was Chinese a second ago.
No, we were taking the Chinese student to the cave dwellings,
You guys
and I
just stop
saw
zoning
this
out while you're
Indian
talking.
guy in the parking lot as we were walking to the caves.
They still could have been Tran.
Possibly. It's not a very Indian name, but I just thought it was weird because it was a very, like, weird ethnicity crisis going on there. I gotta dye my hair red and...
You guys talk about the strangest shit, you know that?
Sounds normal to me.
So, and I thought it was very interesting that that's like he didn't have a connection to his own ethnicity.
Heard.
Because his whole face was normal. He clearly had powdered his face and made his hair red. I don't know who he was fooling. Certainly, I hope it wasn't himself.
Okay.
Oh, stumble on something else. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that looked dumb. Alright, so we're gonna stumble on something.
Does that follow you?
Simple animation to explain complex principles.
Where's that?
They look like they're all having sex.
That's pretty cool. I like this shit.
Okay.
So what we have in front of us, how
a
a bobbin
sewing
works.
machine.
Ah, I've been wondering about that.
No, you know.
Now I know.
I like this one.
I'm not sure what it does. I mean, aside from turn that thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's clearly a clock part.
Is it?
Yeah.
Find it.
There's the
Sucks
gear
in the-
shifter.
This one's fascinating.
It is.
I like it.
Okay, next one. By the way, boring for people to watch, and we're just looking at this and you're not really commenting.
No, I'll put some.
Oh my god, okay, so what does it say? 9 things successful people do differently. Alright, so let's just speculate before looking at that list. Speculate on 9 things that successful people must do differently, aside from go and get better haircuts.
Well, we gotta read the topical thing.
We don't necessarily, we can speculate on 9 things first and then read the topical things and see if our list is
No,
close to
we don't
their
have to
list.
read the whole thing, just the topic of it. It says, okay, number 1 is
Get specific. Alright, get specific. So, here's the picture, alright? Difference between a successful person and a redneck. Okay?
I'm a redneck.
So-
So, they're gonna have a successful redneck. Jeff Foxworthy.
So, end of the date, right? You're with the guy slash girl that you...
Guy slash girl.
Guy
Both
slash girl,
at the
both
same
at the
time.
same time that you've been out with, right? For the rest of the evening.
When you want a woman, you get a man, and when you want a man, you get a woman.
It's just always the way it goes. Gotta be specific about those things. Successful people choose one and not the other. Anyway, so, at the end of the date, right? You have to be specific about what you want to happen next. So you tell them straight up. Well, I'm not even going to finish this joke. I was going to talk about... Okay, so my friend, okay, I've got a friend.
You're
Shinji.
not very getting specific, are you?
Well, here's the specific thing. So Shinji's like, he went on a blind date. He said that he hates blind dates, and it was awful, this particular blind date. I went on a blind date, and it was terrible, he said. She's just complaining and bitching. She's like, oh, you're hurting me. Oh, you're pulling my hair. Oh, get that gun out of my mouth. It was awful, says he. So, you know, you gotta be specific about stuff like that. I don't know. What could you be specific about?
In career goals? Or
Oh, right.
successful people do different. And you went on about
Like.
shooting a bitch with a gun. What?
Sorry.
Whoa.
That was a terrible joke. Okay, yeah. In career goals.
No, I got it, but it was just not.
So, specific career goals.
Where successful people do differently. So success in general, but we'll make it about business.
Okay. They're specific in their career goals. So rather than saying something like, I want to be a CEO, they say something like, I want to be a CEO of Krispy Kreme.
No, I'll be the CEO of Microsoft.
There you go. See, that's specific.
Among other things. But that would be an overall plan of expansion into other things.
Yes. So that's one thing that they do. Be specific.
So, number 2 is seize the moment to act on your goals. Well, if you're talking about sex, isn't that funny to act on your goals?
Right. Yes.
Your input?
My input, well, I'm not a very sexual person as a rule, and so my goals, as far as that goes, is to keep it to myself.
All the women audience, just stop watching the video now.
That's true. I'm a very sexual person, and so my goals is to always have many times and with multiple women. There you go. How about that? Very specific. Seize opportunity.
7 beds at the same time.
7 beds at the same time. I must seize opportunities. Obviously, the word opportunity is a euphemism. It's my nickname. That's what I tell other people to do. It's like, seize the opportunity. That's what I always, be specific, seize the opportunity. See, there you go. Now I have a name.
Yeah, I went on this other thing. I don't know what you triggered it, but something you said, and I went, yeah, and you'll have 100 women, and you'll have at least 2 penises for every woman, and 2 out of 3 of those will be yours. That's what you call seizing the moment and acting on your goals.
That's not one of my goals. It's hard enough to keep track of one. Just saying.
Anyway, next.
Okay, next.
Know exactly how far you have left to go.
Oh, that's why Google Maps is useful, obviously.
Bing.
Right, like Bing Maps is useful because...
Nokia maps.
Right. If you know where you are, you've seized the opportunity, then you can Google it, Bing it, and you can find out how far you have left to go. So in some cases, further than others, apparently. That's what I hear about. What?
That's not what it's talking about. Know exactly how far you have left to go. That's how much you need to go into getting your business. And part of that is a psychological thing where you set your goals up here, which are unrealistic, but then if you get here, you're not disappointed. You're still well off because you set your goals way higher than you need to. So what you end up achieving is still acceptable, as opposed to putting your goals where you should logically put them. And then if something goes wrong, then you're below what you actually should have. So set your goals higher than they should be set.
Tyler flowchart, ladies and gentlemen.
So, anyways, when you say you know exactly how far left you go.
How far do you
I'm
go?
so sorry.
Did you reach third base? Are you gonna go all the way? How far left do they have to go? We don't know.
Well, anyways, I was going to say that even when you get to that point, then you should still, again, have your goals set high enough that you just keep going. I don't believe that you should ever just have a... Unless you're really old and you're like my grandma and your hip explodes when you were just trying to get into the shower, but that's completely different. Great grandma, not grandma. Not, whatever. Anyways, be realistic.
Ha!
Be
Realism.
Be a
Bah!
realistic optimist.
Oh, be a realistic optimist.
Yeah.
As opposed to all of
Be
those
real.
fantasy optimists. I heard of those.
Be real. 9 things successful people do differently than others.
Like,
be real.
Keep it real. We're keeping it real. We're keeping it real. We're keeping it real all up in here, and that's how you can tell we successful. Rappers.
I mean, be realistic. Be a realistic optimist. Like I just said, set your goals higher, being optimist, but be realistic. You know, don't just, we're going to start a space program in 2 years. We're going to go to Mars. Maybe a little pushing it there. But in the moon, okay. That's realistic, I think. Mars, probably not. It's farther.
Redder.
Would your program still even exist by the time it gets there?
Would you run out of snacks on the way? Of course. You have to stop for a pit stop. Can you? Because no, you haven't built them yet. You have to build all the pit stops elsewhere.
Wouldn't that be embarrassing? You're caught in the middle of space. And
Need
the
a
program
bathroom
runs
break.
out of money on Earth.
Yeah, it's
So
like,
you're like
sorry.
calling into people, there's nobody there.
That would
Your
be
ass has
embarrassing.
been floating in space
Of
for
course,
3
at that
years.
point, you're off the hook and you're like, I have a fucking spaceship. What am I going to do now? I'm going to go wherever I want. I got a spaceship.
That's how you would do it.
That's what I'd do.
Okay.
Wouldn't you?
Maybe.
Yeah. It'd be kind of sucky, though. You know, it's just like, oh, man.
Yeah. Okay, so you'd have a team of just sending
Ha!
Mars by yourself. Next is, or do you have anything to add to be a realistic optimist?
Instead of like fantasy optimist. One of those imaginary optimists. I've seen those.
Or being a depressive optimist. Depressing optimist.
A realistic depression person.
Yeah.
A realistic pessimist. As opposed to being a realistic pessimist.
Realistic pessimist.
I believe realistically that the world is going to end. That's pessimism. I believe realistically that the earth is going to be sucked into the sun and compressed.
I was thinking of something else, not pessimism, but
Cynicism.
yeah.
Skepticism.
No, the thing where you put things off.
Solipsism. That's not it.
No, when you're
Procrastinate.
procrastination. And I was thinking of procrastination when you said that, and I was like, that would be weird, a realistic procrastinator, because they actually put things off, but then lo and behold, they were completely right to put those things off. They were realistic about it. And then there's times where, I don't feel like doing that right now, but I really should. Whoa. Anyways, moving on to number 5.